Yo. Hey, man, top of the morning to you. This is something that I just kind of want to show y'all. I want to talk about this because I mean, and I don't want to after the day, I ain't gonna talk about this debate no more till later on. But I did this little pre-debate thing last night where I was talking to my man Craig, Ratchet Craig, shout out to Ratchet Craig. And it was some people who called into the show and they wanted to ask me some questions about something. Now, I want to say this. This is okay. I want to say this. Hold on one second. Oh, thank you. I was talking about atheism versus theism, and what happened was my man called in and wanted to talk about science, right? And he wanted to talk about the Big Bang theory and evolutionary theory and abiogenesis theory, blah blah blah. But that's not what I was talking about. Okay, and I know a lot of people like to pit science against religion, and I want to talk about that today. Okay, let me share with you just some, and this ain't. I'm not here to rag anybody. Not today. Come back another day when you want to, when I'm a jab at whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because I got no problem with that. That's all in good fun and banter to me. But that ain't what I want to talk about today. Today I want to talk about why people feel the need to juxtapose religion to science and why that's a horrible idea. Okay. Here's the thing. Scientific consensuses do not care about a religion. Science is not out to prove God or disprove God. That's not the purpose of science. The purpose of science is to understand the world that we live in. Okay. So if we're talking about the Big Bang theory, right, this has nothing to do with God, nothing at all. Even if there was a God, even if we found out for sure there was a God, that would not change the Big Bang theory. Even if we found out for sure, even if we could prove that there was a God, that wouldn't change the theory of evolution. Okay, these things, right? Like this, those things are independent of each other. Problem is that people think that one of these is supposed to supersede the other, and that's not the case. That's not what they're there for, right? I have no problem with a person saying, "Hey, man, I believe in a God, and I want to live right to please God, and I want to make it to heaven." Cool, all right, do that. Like, that's cool, but that has nothing to do with whether or not the Earth is 5 billion, well, almost 5 billion years old. The Earth just happens to be that old. We know that because we can test for that. Okay. But when you try to pit these two ideas against each other, what you end up running into is a group of people who are now refusing to understand a fact because they believe that this fact goes against what they believe. And that's dangerous. And when I say it's dangerous, I don't mean like it's physically dangerous, like it'll hurt you physically. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that'll keep people from learning the truth that we know about the world that we actually live in. For example, the theory of evolution, and for the most part, people just that's got people not getting vaccinated. Like it makes them very anti-science, as if science is somehow the antithesis of God's word, right? Like, baby, this ain't how that go. And if science is the antithesis of God's word, we got a bigger problem than we recognize. Okay, all right. So it's all these people, they running out and they like, oh, well, you can't prove evolution. Oh, okay. Well, yes, evolution has been definitely proven. Evolution happens if you'll understand what evolution is, but folk don't want to understand what it is because they want it to go against what they believe, which is weird to me. So ultimately, you get these people who are proud of not knowing something, right? And they basically think that they win an argument It's kind of like, nah, I can't hear you, nah, and then walking away from their argument thinking that you won the fucking argument. But all you did was say, I don't understand it. I don't know what you're talking about. Nah. That's not how you win an argument. That's not how you win an argument. Right? To be unconvinced doesn't mean that you won or lost an argument. It just means that you walked away from it not understanding. Right? And to my good, theist friends out here whom I love as people, I'm saying this not because I'm mad. I'm saying this because the point in us having a dialogue is so that we can understand each other. Right? It's not so you can prove yourself right to me. You don't. It's so that we can understand each other. When it's all said and done, I have a pretty good grasp on the idea of creation. I have a pretty good grasp on it. That God somehow breathed life, and I got as good of a grasp on it as can be had. God breathed life into dirt and it came alive. I don't know how he did that with the animals, because it don't say he breathed life into the animals. The animals just kind of popped up. But I can read that, right? That's one way to look at things. Okay, I have a pretty decent understanding of that. But people who believe that very rarely get a good understanding of the other hypothesis, right? And so they just come out making up stuff and just refusing to accept the information that's in front of them. Like, I'm not saying you have to agree with it, but at least get it as an understanding, right? Because otherwise what you're going to do is you're going to boast yourself in being not informed. And why anybody would be proud of being uninformed is weird to me. Right? Like, it's one thing if you don't know a thing. Like, I say this, and no disrespect to my theist friends, I promise but God is not an answer nor an explanation for anything. If I say God did it, I'm basically just saying I don't know how it happened. That's it. That's really what I'm saying. Is I don't know how that happened, so God did it. I don't know how it happened, so God did it. Right? Which is okay, but it's actually more honest to just say I don't know how it happened, and then come to find out the mechanisms by which it could happen. Right? And that's not to say, first and foremost, I want to make sure I say this. George Lemaitre, who was the scientist or the astrophysicist that gave us what we call the Big Bang Theory, okay, was a Catholic priest. Linnaeus, who gave us the Linnaean taxonomy system, was a creationist. He believed in God making the world. Darwin was on his way to being a preacher. He was definitely a devout believer in God. Right? These were not people who were trying to prove or disprove God. They were trying to understand the world around them. As a matter of fact, they were trying to understand God's creation. These things were not designed to set people at odds with God. That's not the point. Right? That's not the point. But for whatever reason, whenever I talk to people about atheism, they think I'm talking about being a scientist. That's not the point. Atheism has nothing to do with science. A baby is born an atheist. Until someone teaches you about a God, you have no belief in a God or gods. But that doesn't mean you're a scientist. Atheism and science are not the same thing. Theist and anti-science are not the same thing. But for whatever reason, people keep trying to make them similar. That's not how that works. There are tons of evolutionary scientists who happen to be believers in Jesus. And tons of atheists who don't understand science. These things aren't the same. Stop trying to make them the same. And if you're going to make them the same, don't hinder your understanding of science. Do not hinder your understanding of science for the Bible and don't hinder your understanding of the Bible for science. They're not the same thing. Right? They're not the same thing. Oh, well, you believe in evolution. I do not believe in evolution. Evolution is proven. Well, you never seen a single cell organism become a man. Yes, I have. Every baby that is alive started as a single cell organism. Every human being alive, you started as a single cell organism. Like every one of us started as a single cell organism and then grew into a human being. Oh, that's reproduction. That's all evolution is reproduction. That's it. But instead of coming to understand what that really teaches, oh, no, because see, the Bible says, I'm not asking you what the Bible says. It's totally okay to believe. It's totally okay to believe in a God. That has nothing to do with the facts and evidence in front of us. Right? Like those two things are not the same. And when we spend our time going against scientific consensuses that we don't understand, in the words of the great Stevie Wonder, when you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer. You suffer. Right? Like you don't let a presupposition become a handicap. Right? Don't let a presupposition become a handicap. It's totally okay if you want to believe in a God. That's okay. That's okay. I have nothing against a person believing in a God until that person is now handicapped from understanding what we know to be a fact. Right? Like we just know these things to be true. Things evolve. We literally just watched the COVID-19 virus evolve into the Delta variant. Evolution happens. The end. Evolution happens. We watch it happen all the time. And that has nothing to do with whether or not there is a God. If there is a God, evolution is the way of making biological diversity. If there is not a God, evolution is still the way of creating biological diversity. There being a God is irrelevant. It's irrelevant to this question. If there is a God, the Big Bang is how he made the world. If there is not a God, the Big Bang is still how the earth came to be. The God, that doesn't have anything to do with this. They're not related. They're not related. Yeah. To understand if there is a God, to understand the mechanisms of God's work does not disprove the God. If anything, it helps you understand the God better. Right? But to think that somehow 4,000 years ago, some people living in the desert who knew nothing of science had accurate scientific information, that's not, baby, that's crazy. That don't even make sense. That don't make sense. Like that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make any sense. And what people end up doing is they end up, leaning to, well, I don't understand it, so I'm just gonna say God did it, which is fine, I guess. But you could understand it, right? Like you know you could just read about this, right? You don't have to not know it. You can know this. And you can prove it. Like evolution is so fucking provable. Like it, just learn it. Just learn it. That does not mean that there is no God. That doesn't mean that there is no God. Right? The fact that evolution exists has nothing to do with the God. Nothing. The fact that the Big Bang happened has nothing to do with there being a God. Nothing. And when you think about how many hold on. Hold on one second. Yeah. So yeah, but it really shouldn't challenge. Okay. Here it is. Here I go, Jimmy. Okay. Yeah, Terry. Okay, here's the thing. And I'm gonna keep this a book. If you're just saying, well, my life, it doesn't like in most people's lives, Terry, how the earth came to be is irrelevant. You're not going to use that shit in any way. You're not a geologist. You don't mine for diamonds or coal. You're not a jeweler, right? Okay. So how old the earth is kind of irrelevant to you. It doesn't have any real bearing on your real life, right? Or you're not a botanist or a zoologist or paleontologist, or right? So genetic diversity isn't really that important to you. The only time genetic diversity would be important to you is like if you needed to take a paternity test, right? Okay, so now, okay, that might come, but for the most part, that's not really that important to you. If it's not that important to you, then leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Because because it's not that important to you, you're probably not going to put the time into really understanding it. It's not relevant to you. Right? Like that would be like me trying to tell somebody how to build a roof, and I'm not a roofer. Right? I mean, I don't really understand roofing like that because I don't put roofs on. So, I might get the general idea, but not really. Right? It's not that important to me. I mean, it's important that the roof be there, but it's not important for me to know how to build it. Right? Okay. If that's not the field that you're going into, leave that alone. There are experts that do that. Okay. It's another thing to say, no, I understand it better than the experts, but be able to offer no proof of said understanding. Now you're doing yourself a disservice. Because now you're allowing the fact that you don't like the fact that you're proud of what you don't understand. You get what I'm saying? Now you're proud of what you don't understand. And being proud of what you don't know is silly. Like that's silly. It's silly. I do not want to have the discussion of if the Big Bang happened. The Big Bang happened. It was more than 13 billion years ago. We know this to be the case. All the evidence points to that fact. We have no evidence that doesn't point to that fact. And if you don't understand the evidence, just say, I don't understand the evidence. And then you should go study the evidence. But all the evidence that all these people who went to school did not just go make that shit up. Go understand the evidence. Okay. That has nothing to do with whether there's a God. If you think your God is eternal, 13.4 billion years or 13.7 or 8 billion years, something like that. 13.8 billion years is nothing in that God's clock. That would not affect if there is a God, if that's what you want to believe. Right? The fact that we evolved from simpler creatures does not affect there being a God, if that's what you want to believe. Yeah, like you don't, that's not the point. The Bible is not a science book, and the science book is not a Bible. They're not even designed to talk about the same things. Science is not a faith-based thing. That's another thing they be trying to hit you with. See, you got faith in science. I do not have faith in science. I do not. I don't have not the same kind of faith you're talking about. And so I'm really tired of having that conversation. I don't want to discuss with you your lack of understanding of science. Go learn it. If you want to learn it. If you don't want to learn it, then don't bring it up. Yeah. If you don't want to learn it, then don't bring it up. Just say, I don't understand that. And because I don't understand that, I'm going to put this as a placeholder. That is fine. Bro, I don't understand. Let me think of something I don't understand. Let me try to, I don't know how to bake cakes. I don't know how to bake cakes. There are bakers for that. I don't have to learn how to bake cakes. I don't have to do that. I don't have to know anything about baking a cake. There are bakers out there that do that. Great. What they say is how you bake a cake. I do not know how to build a house. There are engineers and carpenters that do that. What they say is how you build a house. Because I've seen them build them. Right? I don't have to say, well, God said, if you build a house this way, baby, they build houses every day. That's what they do over there. I've watched them do it. This is what they do. I don't have to understand that. I know how to write a song. That's what I know how to do. Trust me, I know how to write a song. That's what I do. I know what a key signature is. I know what a time signature is. That's what I know. Trust me, I know that. Unless you want to learn it, I could be wrong in some areas, right? You could learn it and prove me wrong, but you couldn't walk in out of the street and tell me that no sharps, no flats wasn't the key of C major or A minor. Or one sharp wasn't the key of G. G major, E minor. You couldn't tell me that. This is fact. Like, we know this to be true. We for whatever reason, and it's a silly point to try to make. People keep trying to turn their religious text into science books. And so when a religious text makes a scientific claim that can't be verified, people will just take the religious text word for it. But this isn't a science book. There's a story in the book of Genesis where Jacob has animals mate in front of striped sticks in order to make them striped animals. Baby, that's not how genetics works. We know that's not how genetics works. That ain't how that works. Okay? That's not how that works. That's a story in the Bible, bro. That's a story. Look for allegory in that, maybe. Like, I'm not saying throw that away. I'm just saying look for the allegory in that. That's not genetics. There's some worldwide flood that covered the earth. Look for the allegory in that, because that's not what actually happened. All right. Okay. Stop doing that, because now again you are bolstering in the fact that you don't understand how life works. And then walking away from the explanation, the best explanation we have, saying, oh no, I won. You did not win. There was nothing to be won there. You pushed away an opportunity to learn something useful about how this world works. That's not a win. Right? Like, that's just not a win, babies. Right? And we've got to stop doing that. Like, we've got to stop doing that, because it doesn't help us educationally. It doesn't help us to build anything on earth. It doesn't help us in our finances. It's not helpful. Right? Believe in whatever you'd like to believe in, if that's what you'd like. But you really cause your belief to hurt you when your belief system keeps you from learning. And like I said, God did it is the quickest way to not learn how it happened. Right? We used to believe that God, Zeus, threw thunderbolts at the earth. And if we had kept believing in that, we would never understand static electricity. We would never understand the rain cycle, because Neptune watered the earth. We would never understand condensation, evaporation, and precipitation. Okay. I'm gonna go back and get it. The card? No, the watermelon thing. Oh, okay. Okay. I ain't see your text till this right now. Oh, okay. So it's right. Like so when we come to a place of understanding, that doesn't mean that you have to get rid of whatever belief system you have. Right? Like you're welcome to believe in whatever God you like. But that has nothing to do with the fact that the earth spins, that it's a ball and not a flat plane. A spheroid, rather, but basically a ball. Right? Like, and stop letting that can't be the hill you want to die on. Meanwhile, people who are using the scientific method and understanding it are building rockets. Right? They're using the electricity to power your homes. They're using quantum physics to power your computers. Right? In a repeatable and testable manner, which means they understand it. Like, this keeps happening. They're using the evolutionary principle in order to design vaccines. They're using the fact that they know how genes evolve, where genes come from, in order to create spike proteins and mRNA. They're using the abiogenesis hypothesis, the RNA first hypothesis, in order to create mRNA vaccines. But if you don't understand that, then the whole medicine thing gets shot out the window, because I don't understand it. That's not how this works. That's not how it works. Again, God did it does not answer or explain anything. It is a response to something. It does not answer or explain anything. How did God do it? How do you know God did it? You don't. That doesn't mean God didn't do it. That just means you don't know how he did it or what he did. So you don't know what happened. And there is no good reason to remain uninformed. unless you're scared. And why would you be scared of knowing something that is harmless? Yeah, right. If God did something, then let's figure out how he did it. Man, bro, if you want to say, yeah, man, if you want to say, man, God make the earth spin, cool. By what mechanism does he make it spin? Gravitational pull. Oh, okay. That's how he did that. That's really cool. That's cool. God made the sunshine. Okay, by what mechanism? Oh, hydrogen and helium fusion. Oh, that's really dope. That's dope. Okay. That was really smart of him. Oh, the hydrogen and helium fusion, they make the heavier elements in the stars, and then the stars blow up and then they cool off, and that explosion make new planets. Oh, that's dope. That's a really cool way of God doing that. But at least come to understand it. Why not get that as an understanding? Because that's what Linnaeus was doing. That's what Darwin was doing. That's what Lemaitre was doing. All these were believers who wanted to understand God's creation. Why don't you want to know? Why don't you want to know? Knowledge is power. Why don't you want to understand this? Do you not want power? Do you not like being empowered? Do you like people knowing more than you? It doesn't make any sense. Do you like them being a, because all you can do is build the monument to your incredulity. That's all you got. When you could just learn it. You could be the deepest believer in the world and the best astrophysicist in the world at the same time. At the same time, you could do these. You could be the biggest believer in the world and the greatest geneticist to ever live at the same time. At the same time. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden you go, oh, there is no God because species evolve. Right. And let me speak to this whole evolution thing real quick. I want to say this to you. Okay. Let me show y'all something. I'm saying this because I really want, I don't want to hear this ever again. Okay. What family? Okay, here we go. Okay. I want to show y'all something. Okay. Okay. I want to show y'all something about evolution. I just think this would be helpful to us. So y'all give me a second. Okay, this is the human taxonomy, right? This is human taxonomy. This basically tells us all the taxonomic classes that human beings are in. Okay. Okay. And I want to show y'all how evolution works. Okay. Now you can read all of this over here, blah, 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 but I want to show y'all something. We are in the kingdom Animalia, right? The phylum Chordata, the class Mammalia, the order of primates. We are in the suborder of Haplorini, the infraorder of Simiforms, right? The family of Hominidae, the subfamily of Homininae, the tribe of Hominini, the genus of Homo, and the species of Homo sapiens. Okay. All right. Now I know you're thinking, what does all that mean? Right. And I don't want to go through it too big, but just know that up here, there are lots of things in the animal kingdom They fall into different phylum. And then from that phylum, there are lots of things in the phylum. Then they fall into classes. And then from that class, you get orders. And then from that order, you get suborders, right? So it's like a big tree that does this, if I'm making sense, right? Just keep spreading out until you get to a specific Homo sapien. Get to a specific Homo sapien, okay? It's no different than, let me walk y'all through this so that it make a little sense. Imagine if anybody watching this video that's in Birmingham, Alabama, let's say y'all was going somewhere. And y'all was going somewhere like Tennessee. Let's say you was going to Tennessee. And so you hopped on I-65 going north. Man, there would be a whole lot of cars going 65 north, right? A whole bunch of cars. That's a main freeway going 65 north. Now, from that road 65 north, some people going to get off on Findlay. Some people going to get off in Gardendale. Some people going to get on in Gardendale, right? But the closer you get to your specific destination, some people going to get off at the Tennessee state line. Some people going to get off in Memphis or whatever. Okay. The closer you get to your destination, the fewer and fewer cars are going to be with you until eventually you reach your own specific destination. And the only people who are going to wind up at that specific destination are the people that took that route. Okay. Same thing is true in evolution, right? Here's the thing about evolution. Evolution never teaches that you can outgrow your clade. In other words, let me go ahead and put this back up. Okay, and people don't understand this, so I'm hoping that this helps. Once, like I am a mammal. I am a part of the mammal class. I will always be a mammal. All of my children will always be mammals. They will always be primates. They will always be semiforms. They will always be hominidae. They will always be homini. They will always be homos. They will always be Homo sapiens. They will always be that. No matter how different they become, they might get into a different subspecies or subspecies, but they will always be that. Give it to you in an even simpler way. I am a Suggs. That's not my last name. That's my mama's maiden name. I am specifically a Tillman, but I'm still a Suggs. I'm still a Purifoy. I'm still a Savage. I'm still a Whitman. I'm still a Gardner. I'm still all of those things. I will never not be those things. But I am a Tillman. And I could have some children on down the line that become Davises or Johnsons or Sales or Talberts. But they will still be Tillmans and Suggs and Purifoys and Savages and Gardners. They might not look like me. 5 generations from now, I can have a kid that looks completely Chinese. It doesn't matter. They are still everything I am. They might not talk like me. They might not eat what I eat. They might not live where I live. They might not look anything like me, but they are still everything that I am. But they've evolved. Now they look Chinese and they speak Chinese and they live in China. They are as different from me as they could possibly be, but they are still everything that I am. They're just a different branch of my family. I might have one branch of my family that literally moves to China. 50 generations from now, they don't look nothing like the branch of my family that stayed in Alabama. That don't mean that they don't have a common ancestor. But they speak different languages and they wear different clothes and they look different and their hair texture is different and they don't talk the same. Who cares? They are still everything that I am. And they are still in the genus Homo. They are still pan Homo sapiens sapiens. They still animals. They're still mammals. We never leave that family. You're never not a part of your family. Oh, you saying that this become this? Yes, but there's still that. We are still primates. We are. We have some cousins that are hairier than us. They didn't take the same evolutionary trail we took. But that don't mean we don't have a common ancestor. We do. We can look at our genetics and see, oh yeah, we got a common ancestor. Well, how come they look so different? The same way my Chinese baby will look different from me. That don't mean it's not my Chinese baby. Am I making sense? That's still my child. And that baby would still be everything that I am. But it doesn't look, behave, live anything like me. This is simple. But instead of folk coming, see, shut up. Shut up. Just learn it. It's okay. It's okay. And that doesn't mean there is no God. That doesn't mean there is no God. Those two things did not contradict each other. I am 94% sub-Saharan West African. I will always be that. I am Ghanaian by blood. I've never been to Ghana. I do not have a single Ghanaian cultural trait. My body, I don't eat the same foods they eat. I don't speak the same languages they speak. I do not worship the gods they worship. I don't know anything about Ghana, and Ghana don't know anything about me. But it doesn't change the fact that I am Ghanaian. I'm also American. Right? Now, I still got kinfolk in Ghana that don't know me. We don't act alike. We don't talk alike. That don't mean we not related. And that don't mean there isn't a God. Just stop doing that. Stop doing that. We ain't never seen a single cell organism become a human being. Yes, we have. Any ladies in here, if there's a single woman in here who has a child, let me tell you something. When you first got pregnant, when that egg and that sperm met, they made a little single cell organism. Before it was even a zygote, it was just a single cell organism. And then it split in a thing called mitosis, became a dual cell organism. It evolved from a single cell to a dual cell. Ain't that crazy? Then those cells start clumping together, made a multicellular organism. What the fuck is going on now? Then we are what you call, I think it's called like deuteratomes or something like that. I can't remember the exact word. But basically, we became buttholes. Like one of the first body parts on you that forms is your asshole. At one point, you were only an asshole. You were an asshole first. Yeah. And you'll never stop being an asshole. You are an asshole. And you will never stop being an asshole. You was an asshole. And then you became like a little fish. You had gill slits and everything. Swear to God, go look at your embryology. You became a little fish, had gill slits and everything. And then you kind of kept going. You became a little lizard. You looked like a little tadpole. You was like a little lizard, right? Then you kept going and you formed into more like a mammal. You got your fingers and your toes out, and you started to put the eyes in the front of your head versus on top like the predators. It was here. Your nose went down instead of up that way, and you became a primate. You went full out monkey at one point. You actually grew a body full of hair at some point. This is a true statement. Go Google this. At one point in your life, you were completely covered in hair. And then out of nowhere, you lost that hair. You went bald before you got here. And then you showed up as a human. But you went through the entire evolutionary process in the womb. The study of this is called Evo Devo, by the way, or evolutionary development. Evo Devo. But you went through every stage of your evolution before you got here. You got a little snapshot of the billions of year plan of evolution in 10 months. Why would that happen? Give me one reason why that should happen. Why would God make it look that way if it wasn't that way? And none of that means that there is no God. But let's say if God gave us that as a blueprint, why would he make it look that way if it wasn't that way? Who was God trying to fool? The people who would study it? Yeah. Mighty funny. Mighty funny. We've got to stop, man. We got to quit putting these things at odds with each other. Though, baby, you talking about what's happening in the afterlife. Yeah, I think it's called a Nugo. I think that's what it's called. Right, but you had a body full of it, and then you lose it. You just lose it because you were on your way to being a monkey, and then you just went past monkey. Right, you just went past monkey to human. But you went through your whole evolutionary process in a little snapshot. Hey, we started out like this, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then we got to that, and then we turned into this. And you watch those gill slits. They come up, they make the whole little ear area. Okay, so we don't need that. We're going to repurpose this for this. And instead of needing gills, we're going to develop lungs. And then we're going to put a heart. Okay, so you watch the whole evolutionary process happen. Yeah. Oh, that's just reproduction. That's all evolution is. But it's mighty funny that we get a snapshot of all our family coming up until we show up here. I am still a Suggs, man. I am still a Purifoy, man. I am still a Savage. I am still a Gardner. I am still a Whitman. This is a fact. But I am a Tillman. And my children will always be Tillmans and everything else I just said. They would have evolved into whatever their names would be. They're going to look different from me. They're going to behave different from me. They're going to be in a different environmental pressures. That don't mean they won't still be this. They will just be this plus something. Yeah, bro, you look like a whole tadpole at one point in your life. And then you got these legs and feet and you lost your tail. You literally develop a tail and then lose it. It just becomes a tailbone. But at one point you had a tail. Bro, at one point we had wider and longer jaws, man, which is why we still grow wisdom teeth. We're evolving. Why the fuck are we still growing this? Why the fuck do we have fangs? Why? You don't ever chew with them shits. You never use these fucking teeth. Why do we still grow them? For what? What do they do? What do your fucking fangs do? You do not chew with them. You either chew with your incisors or your molars. Or your bicuspids, your molars, yeah. Right? You don't use these shits. Why are they there? We used to use them. They used to be longer than this. And why would God make it look that way if that wasn't the way it was? Who is he trying to fool? You don't have to do this. You'll make a much better argument just believing in God and understanding science. We evolved. We're still evolving. Just in the last 30 years, the average bra size in America has gone from a B cup to a C cup. That's an evolution. You know what's so weird about this? Could probably go get my whole video taken down, but for a minute, I want to talk about titties. Welcome to Sebastian Cole's Titty Corner. For a minute, I want to talk about titties. Okay. Now, I said earlier that we are primates, and we are primates. We know lots of other primates. We are great apes. We are what they call the naked ape, right? We didn't grow out. I'm kind of hairy, but I'm not as hairy as my ape cousins. Okay. I don't even grow arm hair or leg hair. So I'm really a hairless ape. But let's talk about titties. In our ape family of all the primates, our other ape cousins, right? Our other ape cousins, they have swelling breasts too, but they only swell while they're feeding the young, right? So their titties only swell up while they're feeding the young. Okay. All right. And a lot of our other ape cousins have mating seasons. So they have estrus. So their butts swell when they are ready to mate, right? So their butts swell when they're ready to mate, and then their titties swell when they're feeding the young. Our butts do not swell when we're ready to mate. Our titties do not only swell when we're feeding young, which means that at some point we had to have some sexual pressures that caused us to have a constant mating season. We were hypersexual. It's the only way to explain this. We were a hypersexual species. We like to do a lot of fucking. So that she didn't even get a chance to let her titties go down before she was pregnant again. She didn't even get a chance to let her butt swelling go down before she was having sex again. So eventually, it just stayed swollen. Eventually, they just stayed swollen because it took way more evolutionary energy to cause them to go down, to swell back up, to cause them to go down. That's the only... Because we don't have a mating season. Or you tell me why God made it look that way. You tell me that. Why we built just like the other monkeys, but we swell up this way. That thing be thinking year round, Amber. Now, you ever seen a chimpanzee? When they in heat, that thing be thinking, but only when they in heat. Ours thing the whole year round. The whole year round. Because we was thinking. Or else, why would God make it look that way? Because it looked like this. It behaves like this too. Walk like a duck, quack like a duck, look like a duck. It's probably a fucking duck. Or else, why would God fool us into making it look like that? But the Lord God blessed you real good in other ways, Miss Dominique. Hey, glory. Come on, somebody. Some people be blessed in the city. Some people be blessed in the field. Some people be blessed in the city and the field. Some people be blessed in the city and in the field. But just take your blessings. You understand me? You understand me? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But none of this means that there is no God. It just gives us a better understanding of how this formed. That don't mean God didn't form it. I got other arguments against that. But this doesn't argue that. This just says how we got to be different than our other ape cousins. Well, we genetically we're related to apes. How did we get to be different? What happened? Why are we so different? My little Chinese great 5 times or 50 times great grandchild, how did that baby get to be so different than his 50 great back granddaddy? Why does he look like that? Why does he look like that? Why is his bone structure that much different than mine? Why is he not as tall as me? What happened? Sexual selection. Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes really good sense. Well, I mean, no, he's shorter than me. His head ain't as big as mine. It don't look like me at all. I mean, I guess I see some similarities. He got 5 fingers, 5 toes, but he don't really look like me. And if I gave it enough time, he would look even further different from me. 50 greats from him, this could be a little white kid that live in Russia that don't look nothing like his Chinese 50 great granddaddy or his black 100 great granddaddy. But that don't mean we not related. He might, or it might be a little, what am I saying? Polynesian kid, right? That spent a lot of time in the water. So his lung cavities, all his other ancestors was in the water. So they lung cave is bigger than mine. He can hold his breath longer than me. Or maybe it's a little Irish kid that got a little gene that allows him to process alcohol better than his Chinese great granddaddy. So he could outdrink his Chinese 50 great granddaddy. But that don't mean he didn't have a Chinese 50 great granddaddy or a black 100th great granddaddy. But he's so different from me. He don't look like me at all. But if he's black, how did he give birth to this Irish kid? Sexual selection. In the same species. But he looks so different. He behaves so different. He don't talk like him, walk like him, look like him. How are they related? Sexual selection. And he's still a Tillman. And he's still a Suggs. And he's still a Purifoy. And he's still a Savage. And he's still a Gardner. And he's still a Whitman. Y'all, you get what I'm saying? Okay. And if I had a bunch of kids and they all went out and did that, then my genetics would spread even more. Right. And then you might see this thing pop up more often in the population. And the more kids that I have, the more you see this thing pop up in the population. And eventually you'll have a group of people who got this thing as a population thing. And if they secluded themselves in one area, then they would continue to build on that. And then eventually the people who secluded themselves in this one area would be slightly different than the people who was over here in this area. And if you kept doing that, they would get to be very, 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 very different. That don't make sense to nobody. That don't make sense. Yeah. Wait a minute, Erica. Hold on. What you talking about? Hold on. I don't even want to put this on the screen. But God is good to you. God is good to you. Yeah. Yeah, but y'all get what I'm saying? And all you got to do is just apply a little critical thing. That does not challenge your God idea. Right? That does not challenge your God idea. There could still be a God. This process would still work. There could not be a God. This process still works. Dominique, y'all way off comment. Yeah, y'all just over there just talking. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm just out here I'm just being background music for y'all conversation at this point. It's okay. It's okay. I'm glad you're watching. I'm glad you're watching. Right. So, right, okay. That has nothing to do with if there's a God or not. Right? The way the elements are formed or the way they formed, that has nothing to do with whether there's a God or not. The way gravity works is the way gravity. Germ theory of disease does not care if there's a God or not. It's irrelevant. So do yourself the favor, guys. Go learn some science. That has nothing to do with your God. Has nothing to do with your God. You don't have to be scientifically incorrect to believe in God. Don't let your religion become your mental handicap. Believe in your God. If you want to live by the Torah, live by the Torah. If you want, right, like the principles of live by that, that's great. Well, some of them. We've evolved past some of that too. But nonetheless, like if you just, hey, I don't want to kill, I don't want to steal, I don't want to lie, blah, 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 because the Torah tell me that. That's fine, baby. That's cool. But that ain't got nothing to do with the fact that we were at one point only buttholes. Yeah. We got mouths and asses. We eat, process, and shoot out. There are some animals who do not have mouths and asses. Their mouths and asses are the same thing. Yeah. 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 That's how that work. Anyway, so I ain't gonna hold y'all too much longer on that. I hope this has been at least beneficial, you know, and I hope now I'm gonna throw a few jabs. I hope Jeremiah Judah watches this and learns that that's not my position. My position is not that science is in antithesis to God. My position is that God has nothing to do with this. Nothing. They're not even in the same realm. So don't come arguing with me that these two things are not related. Right. Okay. So don't argue that with me. These two things are not related. And if you're going to argue that with me, at least get a good understanding of it. Don't get up here being proud of the fact that you don't understand it. That's not smart. Right. Just establish and prove your own claim. Because you could be right, but you're going to have to prove it. You're going to have to give me some proof. And if the only proof you got is, oh, a book said it, but that's not proof. I'm gonna need some other evidence besides that. Okay. I know, but Amber, I'm laying all this stuff out early, darling. Yeah, I'm laying all this stuff out early so that he won't be able to say, well, you didn't say that. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I'm laying this out for you early. That's not the argument I want to have. That's not it. We want to talk about what's best for the community, atheism or theism, not science and religion, atheism and theism. And atheism is not synonymous with science. There could be a billion gods and the world still work this way. There could be no gods and the world still work this way. This is completely separate from if there is a God or not. You do your best to go understand the science and quit putting those things on your God idea. Quit putting those things on your God idea because they aren't related. Okay. They're not related. And I'm glad I got a chance to say that. I'm going to make sure I say this video because I want to play it for all of my theist friends so that they never bring that shit back up to me again. Don't bring that up to me again. This ain't related. Yeah, they just not related. There could be 1 trillion gods on the planet. As a matter of fact, my proposal is that there are just as many gods on the planet as there are believers in God on the planet. No two people believe in the exact same God. Because you can ask one person what God said, you can ask another person what God said, they come up with two different things. They got a different version of the same God. It's a different version, different species from, right? God evolves. Some people say God don't like abortion. Some people could point to the abortions in the Bible and say God condoned them. Same God. This God has evolved now to two separate species of gods. Some people can say God don't like gay people. Some people say God love all people. God evolves. Some people say God have never sent anybody to hell. That was just, some people say there's a real hell. God evolves. Some people say Jesus was God. Some people say Jesus was the Son of God. God evolves. There are just as many gods on the planet as there are believers in God on the planet. And that's okay. Or there could be just as many gods on the planet as there are believers in God on the planet. That's okay. That has nothing to do with the way the world works. The world still works the way it worked. Germ theory of disease is still real. Evolution is still real. The Big Bang still happened. Has nothing to do with whether or not there's a God. It's irrelevant. Or God is, Erica, you're right. Yeah. These things are not related. And it is arrogant to try to force one on the other. They're not related. Okay. And the more we learn that, the more we learn how beautiful this big human family is. And how beautiful this whole mammal family is. And let's look at it one more time. I want to go through it one more time, just so we can see it. Look at the families that we are members of, man. Look at this big, beautiful family tree we got here. Man, we are in the kingdom Animalia. There's actually a higher clade that teaches us that we are actually all eukaryotes. We all come from a single cell that has an outer layer to protect the inner cell. We're all eukaryotes, but we're all in the kingdom Animalia. We're all a part of that family. Every one of us, every single one, every animal you've ever seen, we're all family members in the kingdom Animalia. We're all chordata, which means that we have a spinal cord. Every one of us are part of that family. Now, we've got some cousins in the animal kingdom that did not get a spinal cord, right? But they're still our cousins because they are in the kingdom Animalia, right? And so they would go on to do something else out here, right? They would go away from that. We would be different right here. We got spinal cords. Our other cousins did not. Look at the animals in the chordata. Look at that. Like, these are animals that we kin to. And we know we kin to them because we got this spinal cord, right? Then we're all mammals. Look at that big, beautiful family we in. Look at that, the moose and the bear and the human being and the dog and the panda and the damn, what is it, a possum and the whale, the killer whale down there, right? Then we're all every one of us are primates, right? And this is where the primates come from. Look around there. Look where the primates come from. Look at that. And we know that human life began right. You see this, man? Man, that's beautiful, bro. Human life started right here in the range of where the primates are. This our neighborhood. This the neighborhood we from right here in the middle of the primates. We from there. You see how beautiful that is? How are you missing it? That's beautiful, man. We adapted to live in these tropical environments. Look at that, right? And then we're all Haplorini. Look, that's one of our cousins, the Haplorini. You dry nose primates. See? Because I got some cousins that are well, they're not even primates, but if I go back to mammalia, I got some dog cousins that their noses is always wet. My nose ain't wet. My nose is dry, right? It's kind of weird if I got a wet nose, right? Then we get into the infraorder, right? Semiforms. And you can start to see, look, they start to look more and more like me The more look, see how my eyes in the front like theirs in the front. See how my nose sit back like this, right? They start to look that we are the higher primates. Look. We start to look more and more alike. The more and more we go down. Just keep watching. Then Hominidae. Look, this is where we come from. Now we're getting closer and closer to where we come from. The great apes. Right? Pongo, gorilla, Pan. Now we actually happen to be from I think we're from Pan and then Homo. Or no. Oh, no. Homo. That's right. Right. Hominidae. Right. Then Homininae. The African apes. Every one of us are African apes. We're also called the genus Pan sometimes. But Hominidae, same thing. We're all African apes. Every one of us. Right? Hominini. Right? That's where you start this again. You start to see that's all of us except the gorillas. They're not in that. Right? Hominini. And then we get to the genus Homo. Right? We're all a part of all those families, man. And then we divide into the little countries that we're from. And then we divide into the clans that we're from and the families that we're from. Until we get all the way down to just me. But I'm related to every single thing in that list. And that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Anywho's, man. I'm out the way. I appreciate y'all for listening to this. I hope this was helpful to y'all. As I leave, I got to throw this little shot in there. Hey, man, the debate's still coming up August the 14th. Ain't no tickets. It's completely free. We're gonna stream it on the Lions Den Debate League. It's gonna be on YouTube and on Facebook at very least. I want y'all to come watch it, man. I want y'all to watch it, man. It's gonna be an interesting time. We're gonna talk about some things, and we just gonna decide which one of these is best for the people. Okay, but Jeremiah, I hope you go back and watch this video, bro. And I mean this, like no shit. Post this like you post every other video, because what I want to discuss here today, what I discussed here today, is how your lack of understanding of science has nothing to do with whether or not there's a God. The science and theism have nothing to do with each other. Evolution and theism have nothing to do with each other. They're not related. There could be as many gods as you like. If there being a God does not mean we didn't evolve. We got way too much proof that we evolved. There could still be a God. That's just the mechanism by which he got. Oh no, Jeremiah, your boy lost so bad last night, and I want to tell you that, Jeremiah, like he lost so bad, he basically just got on camera and continued to explain how he didn't understand things, and that's okay. That's okay, man. Like that's okay. But your lack of understanding doesn't mean you're right. And I'm saying this ain't even this again, bro. This ain't no jab. You know what I'm saying? Like this just the truth. Because we gotta stop doing that. Like at some point, it can't be just about the argument, right? Right. At some point, it can't be. No light came from the Big Bang. There wouldn't be light to hundreds of thousands of years later. Absolutely. I definitely said that. There wouldn't be light for much, much later when photons could come together. I definitely said that. Yeah. And Jeremiah, did you notice? I'm so glad you said this. Jeremiah, you remember our debate when I told you that the Big Bang, that people use the Bible to talk about the Big Bang? Your man's last night literally used the Bible to talk about the Big Bang. That's literally what he did. right? And that was my point in the debate. And your man's just proved me right. So keep playing that debate. Don't take the debate down, and play the video from last night so you can see that your man's a believer, believe that the Big Bang was spoken of in the Bible. And that was my whole point in our debate 2 years ago. So make sure you keep them both running. Don't move a thing. You posted it. Leave it there, and I'm gonna show you where you were wrong. And you said in the debate, see, believers, we don't believe that. We don't believe no Big Bang. But then I got a believer that came in and said, no, this was the Big Bang, and this is what science says. Don't move. Don't move, young man. Don't move. Suffer this loss with dignity. Suffer it with dignity. But as you're suffering it with dignity, yeah, bro, however you will, I had proved my point. My point was proven. I didn't need 3 rounds to prove my point. As a matter of fact, I may only go 1 round in the next debate. And I'm going to give you 2 extra rounds to prove me wrong. What if I did that? Would you like that? You know what? I might just do that. I'm only going to do 1 round of debate. 1. I'm going to give you 3 to beat it. Is that fair? That's how cocky I am about this. Would that make it? Just give me one opening, like an opening statement, and 1 round. I'll give you 3 rounds. Let's do it this way. I'll take 10 minutes around. You can have 30. Would that be? So in other words, it'll be 1 to your 3. I'll take 10 minutes. I'll take 3 1-minute. 3 10-minute rounds. You can take 3 30-minute rounds, and then call me back for the question and answer. Would that be cool, Jeremiah? Was that cool? I only really want to do 1 round in this next debate, and I'm gonna give you 3 rounds to rebuttal them, and it just hit me back when you're ready to do question and answers. Is that okay? Would that be fair? Or I can break my 1 round up into, so basically you can have 3 times as much time as I got. Would that be cool? And then just hit me back when you're ready to do the question and answer part. Would that be cool? I don't need a lot of time to do this. I had already proven my point in the first debate. And then the video you posted today proved that my point was correct. So I don't need as much time as you. When you know something to be true, it don't take a lot of time to talk about that. You can take as much. I won't even time your rounds. I do not care. You take as long as you want. I might do 3 5-minute rounds. It ain't gonna matter. It ain't gonna matter. Okay. Is that okay with you, Jeremiah? Is that okay with you? Is that okay with you, bro? Now, I'm saying this in public so people can hear it. Would that be okay with you? I might just take half the time I need. Okay. Just hit me back when the question and answer part comes up. Because facts gonna stand, Eric. I don't need a lot of time to do this. I don't need a lot of time to do this. I've got enough information to go, but this. Okay, all right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna time you around. Let's just do it that way. I'll stick to the rules and I'll let you talk as long as you like. Is that cool? Is that cool? I'm gonna do somewhere between 7 and 10-minute rounds. Somewhere between that. I'm gonna do 3 7 to 10-minute rounds, but you can take as long as you like. Okay, but don't take too long because you're gonna bore the people. But you can. I'm not gonna stop you in the middle of whatever information you want to present away. Is that okay? Is that okay, Jeremiah? You didn't beat me last time. You really didn't, and that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I proved my point completely, and you proved my point today, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. Okay, but I'm okay with that. So, can we agree to that part? No, can we agree to that part? Are we agreeing with that? Can you want to agree to that now? So that's a simple yes or no answer. You can just say yes or no. That I will not time your rounds. You can take as long as you like. Is that okay? I did agree with you. I totally agree with you. We weren't arguing the same thing. What you, but that's neither here nor there. Just say yes or no, right? I will not time your rounds. Is that okay with you? You can take as long as you need. Is that okay? Is that okay? I want to make sure that y'all hear me say that. Is that okay, Jeremiah? Okay, okay. How about this? How about this? So what now? Well, I don't understand what this question is. Oh, okay. B, give you one benefit of being soulless. If you tell me what a soul is, I can tell you why. I don't know what a soul is. I definitely want to answer your question. I definitely want to answer this question. But what is a soul? What's a soul? Like to, I have no idea what a soul is. Why are you out, bro? Just tell me what a soul is. I just don't know what it is. Just tell me what a soul is. I mean, if you ask me a question, I can at least ask for the definition of word before I answer. Right? I get to ask for a definition of word and a spelling bee. Dominique, don't ask him that because I don't want to confuse him. I just want him to answer the question straight up. Just tell me what a soul is, and I can tell you the benefit of. But being an atheist doesn't. Let me read this for you again. Hold on. Let me do this again. You need to know this. Okay. Son. Do me this favor. Atheism, by definition, is the disbelief or lack of belief in the existence of God or gods. That has nothing to do with being without a soul. So why would you bring that up? Why would you bring that up? That's not. Those things aren't related. Those things aren't related. How does that have anything to do with anything? Atheism is not a doctrine. Atheism is not a religion. It is not a doctrine. It is not a faith. It is not a movement. It is not an organization. It is not that. Atheism is disbelief or lack of belief in the existence of God or gods. It has nothing to do with if you have a soul or not. But I still want to know what a soul is. But I never proposed that a person was soulless. So I would like to know why that's important. I mean, I will answer the question. If you will tell me what a soul is, I can then assess if that's beneficial or not. But I don't know what a soul is. I told you. I'm gonna read it to you again. I'm gonna read it to you one more time. I'm gonna zoom in so you can see it. Maybe you can't see it. Okay. Atheism is the disbelief or lack of belief in the existence of God or gods. That's it. No, it is not a doctrine. There's the definition right there, Jeremiah. Atheism is the disbelief or lack of belief in God or gods. It is not a doctrine. You should really go study it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you should really go and study it and see what you can find out about. Like, how are you debating something that you know nothing about? You get what I'm saying? That's why I tried to call you this morning. You don't be. I'm trying to make this as fair for you as possible because you're gonna get out there and argue something that I'm not talking about. Bro, atheism just means without theism. Theism is the belief in God or gods. That's the etymology. I clearly know the etymology of this word. It is not a doctrine. Bro, there's the definition. Jeez Louise. Jeez Louise. First off, you didn't ask me for the etymology of the word, but let's do this. Let me show you the etymology of the word atheism. It's okay. Let me do this for you. All right. Here you go. Etymology. Here's the etymology. From theos or theisma, right? Right. Without God. Yeah. Yeah. That's all it means is without a God. From the etymological root, it just means without a God. And because we cannot prove that there is a God, then that implies the belief in a God. That's it. And make sure you keep that on record. This is not a doctrine. This is about the belief or lack thereof in God or gods, which is exactly what the definition said. Jeremiah, do better than this. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, man. I want to have more belief in you. I think you're smarter than this. Yeah. Yeah. I believe that you're smarter than this. This is the etymological dictionary right here. And I didn't call you out of your name. Calling me a bozo don't help you. that doesn't mean anything. Okay. I can't click those links. It won't let me click those links. But just copy it and put it, copy what it says and put it here. Copy what it says and put it here. Jeremiah, just copy it, copy and paste it in there. That's fine. Bro, just copy it and put it in here. This says it's not a doctrine. That says it is a doctrine. Okay, so they have different opinions. Copy the text, Jeremiah, not the link. I can't click the link. So copy the text and put it in there. Bro, this is brand new information, son. This is Oxford information. Just copy the text and put it in there. Running again. Jesus. Get this track star the hell out of here. Anyway, okay. Now that we've done that and everybody sees where I got that information from, right? Okay. Your source disagrees with my source, but that don't make your source any more right than mine. Just because you agree with that source, then that's okay. That's okay. But that doesn't make your source any more realistic than mine. According to the etymology of that word, that just means to be without a god or gods. The definition is to be without, to lack the belief in a god or gods. That's all it means. Atheism. There are no two atheists that have the same doctrine. They just share the lack of belief in a god or gods. There is no doctrine. Doesn't come with a doctrine. You cannot point to the atheistic doctrine. It doesn't exist. And that's okay. That's okay. It just doesn't exist. All right. Now, there are some atheists that are humanists. There are some atheists that are animalists, right? But that's not atheism. He just run like this. Wait till you see the debate, Melody, and that's why I'm trying to give him all the time, because I don't want to hear none of his complaints. I don't want to hear none of his complaints. I'm gonna let him have all the time he needs, and you're gonna see this. He refuses to stick to the topic. Atheism, the doctrine that there are no gods. Okay, thank you. All right. This what it says. Atheism. Now, the doctrine that there is no God, disbelief in any regularity in the universe. I don't believe that at all. Yeah, that's not what I believe at all. At all. Right? From the Greek word, without God. Yeah. Denying God. Right. So this is a definition. This is a definition, not etymology. It's just in an etymological dictionary. And I don't subscribe to any. There's definitely regularity in the universe that I must conform myself under penalties. The law of gravity is real. I do not believe that the law of gravity doesn't exist. I just don't believe in God or gods. This is a definition, and a bad definition at that. This is a horrible definition. This asserted that disbelief in any regularity in the universe. That's crazy. I don't know any atheists that don't believe that there is regularity in the universe. What? What? The three basal assumptions is that the universe exists. We can learn from it because it has regularity, and that predictive measures beat non-predictive, predictive hypotheses are better than non-predictive hypotheses. These are three basal assumptions. This has nothing to do with it. This has nothing to do with atheism. This is anarchy, maybe. Maybe. I don't even know. Bro, the universe is definitely regular. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. We have seasons. I know that to be the case. This is a horrible definition of atheism. This just comes to the idea of not believing in God or gods. That's crazy. I can't even believe you said that. Wow, you really just hurt yourself right there. This where you getting your sources from? This is bad. This is really bad. Anyway, I love you guys, man. You guys are great human beings, and I appreciate you. And I wouldn't play this right now. I would just say goodbye, but because this is up on my screen and we see the type bullshit this nigga playing with, I'm gonna hit you with this.
Soldiers driving up and
you know what? Because somebody said this, and I felt like this was you're right. I should play this. And so I'm gonna play this because it is important. My heart is breaking. That's what I'm gonna play for. He need to know this. My heart is aching. Yeah. My heart. You need to hear this. Tell him. He's a runner. He's a track star. He gonna run away when it gets hard. He can take the pain. He can get scarred. He heard it in boy that gets involved. Don't want to commit once they get this far. Ooh, 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 ooh. In the move. You tweaking hard. I ask you what you feeling, you don't speak it all. You gonna write to Facebook and tweet it all. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hey, I love y'all, man. I love y'all. Y'all be good. Y'all be